Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know leaders of student movement at the University of Johannesburg, they are expecting me to use the word comrade. Minister of Transport, Dr. Blade Nzimande, I actually did a bit of research to find out, Minister, why you are called Blade. And I found out that when you were younger, you were very sharp at school. You were as sharp as a blade. And that is how the name actually came about. MEC Mama Bulo, our MEC for infrastructure here in Gauteng. Members of the Central Committee of the SACP. I see here my boss, who also doubles up as a member of the SACP, Mr. Franz Valeni. I saw him dancing. When he is at it at council meetings, he does not have any inkling of being a dancer. And professors from the University of Johannesburg, leadership of the University of Johannesburg. We have Professor Parek here. We also have Dr. Vukuza, the DSG of the SACP, Mr. Mapaila. I saw also Professor Fiona Trejena, who is our distinguished SACHI chair in industrial policy, and other people that I have not got to recognize by name. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome you to the largest university in Johannesburg. With 50,000 students, there is no question about it. We're actually doing the numbers, and we came to the conclusion, not the conclusion, the realization that we graduate more students than any other university in South Africa. I think you can give us a round of applause. Because when we talk about transformation, whether radical or otherwise, if we do not have educated people, it is not going to lead anywhere. There is no society that has advanced without education. So, and this is directed at our student leadership, Ndipiwe. When somebody is a leader, and they repeat a year for academic reasons, they are not leading. There is nothing revolutionary about repeating a year. So, if there are any academic issues, assistance that you require, maybe if you want me to advise you how many hours you should spend in the library, please, I will be there to assist you. The University of Johannesburg is the university of the fourth industrial revolution. The reason why we chose to be the university of the fourth industrial revolution is because we realized that we have been spectators in all forms of industrialization. The third industrial revolution that gave us the integrated circuit of transistors has not taken hold in South Africa. 70 years after the discovery of a transistor, we still do not have a single company in South Africa that manufactures transistors. This has to change. And it will not change unless we take the issue of knowledge, knowledge generation, knowledge creation, understanding the technologies that are around us very, very seriously. So the University of Johannesburg is really about scholarship. And when we were deciding how do we integrate what has happened historically in South Africa with what we do in South Africa at the University of Johannesburg, we came up with the name Moses Kotanes. Moses Kotanes was the longest General Secretary of the SACP. Dr. Nzimande is the second longest. He was also a treasurer of the ANC. This is the person who was a bridge between the ANC and the Soviet bloc that was very instrumental in supporting our struggle. Without leaders like Moses Kotanes, South Africa probably would not have received the kind of support that it received from the Soviet Union. And I think it is actually quite fitting that the University of Johannesburg, which is a university that is serious about the modernization of our society, should actually be the first one to do a Moses Kotanes lecture. And I'm glad that Joseph Kotanes is here with us. I was being told today that he was actually named after Joseph Stalin. A few weeks ago, I was watching a movie called The Death of Stalin. I actually have recommended it for my staff to watch. It had all the role players, Beria, Ndipiwa, you know who Beria is, isn't it? Mankelov, Nikita Khrushchev, all of them. And it actually tells you a very important moment in history that happened at that time. And I couldn't quite help wonder what would have happened if Beria was the one who succeeded, not Nikita Khrushchev. So it is really this engaging ideas, doing what in philosophy they call counterfactuals. What if? What if we have done this? Because that is how we can be able to generate the society that we want. We call it counterfactuals. When you play around with ideas of things that never happened and walk in the history of time, imaginary history of time, to try to understand what happened. It is this counterfactual thinking that is going to allow us to actually create a path for development for all of us in South Africa. And South Africa is at the forefront of this. As we march on in the fourth industrial age, we are embarking on a project to write biographies of African leaders. Either African leaders do not have biographies written by them, and very often, if they are biographies, they're actually written by Americans out of all nations. I read a book, The First President, and it is not about Madiba, it is about Dube. It is written by an American. Can't we write? There's nothing wrong with an American writing a book, but our perspective must also be reflected. And it will be reflected if we actually write. So we are embarking on a project to write biographies of 10 African leaders. We have appointed Dr. Nqulunga. If you could just stand so that you could be acknowledged. He was a mouthpiece of the former president. He is going to be the mouthpiece for the heroes and leaders who have gone before us. He leads by example. He wrote a book recently about the man who founded the ANC, Pixlika Isakaseme. Very, very good book. The book actually uncovered truth that actually forced us to rename our street and buildings. There is a Dr. Pixlika Isakaseme building in Durban, a minister. We probably will have to change that because of this man, you know. And it is good that we are able to understand history as it is, not as we wish it to be. So we are going to be writing a series of books. He was just telling me that he found somebody who has just completed a PhD on Herigwala, and we are going to turn that into a book. And there are many other books that have never been written. I often would like to read a book on Muzala, for example. A scholarly book on Muzala. Yeah, so Bongani is going to be doing exactly that. And he's not just going to be publishing this work. We are actually negotiating with international publishers for these books, so that we do not get books that are written and 5 weeks later you can't be able to find them. They are out of print. Because we want to do this so that history can continue, so that people can continue to learn from history. So it is really indeed a great pleasure for us, and to also thank the minister for being the first deliverer of the Moses Kotanes Memorial Lecture at the University of Johannesburg. I thank you very much, and please learn from the lecture, and let us continue to advance our society.